Hi there, I'm Nathan Agan, and welcome to the Working Actors Journey Rehearsal Room. We started this project in June 2020 and came out of what we could do with all of the time during the pandemic. We found that having the time to deeply explore just one scene over a month, or as you'll see here, a couple scenes, has really excited everybody involved. For those familiar with John Barton's Playing Shakespeare series, that was, I think, probably in the late 70s, early 80s, I see this as kind of a springboard from that. Uh, we are, unlike them, unscripted, totally unscripted. It's a wonderful way to see the creative process in real time. And for those who are new here, what you're going to see tonight and over the next few weeks is not meant to be a final performance. It's rather a continued work in progress uh, as the actors and all the artists are working through this. I see the goals and the mission of the rehearsal room in several ways. One is for an opportunity for artists of different generations and backgrounds to collaborate, learn from one another, and to continue the lineage of honing this craft by actually doing the work. The rehearsal room continues the great theatrical history of apprenticeship, where newer and younger artists get to see up close how the professionals work after 30, 40, 50 plus years, the questions to ask, how to explore, how to communicate, how to take direction, all the good things that come from, doing this work. And one of the things I love about the rehearsal room here is that it's never been a top-down structure. There's no lecture component here. There are great ideas and questions coming from all directions, and everybody has been so welcoming of that dynamic. We can also explore different casting, being more conscious to gender, age, or race than theater sometimes can be. You may some ideas of that may come up over these sessions, and certainly in some of our other sessions, you can see that at play. Some of the ideas that come to mind is, seeing actors in their 70s play the lovers in A Midsummer Night's Dream. Just there's a lot that can be gleaned when you have just different perspectives and fresh perspectives coming to these roles. And what I love, and this is certainly evidence here with this group, you can bring artists together from all over the place. Sometimes people that haven't worked together in 20 plus years, or they've never worked together, but they just knew of each other. And that's really a wonderful thing we can do with this medium. We will continue posting the weekly sessions on YouTube for free for all to enjoy. So be sure to subscribe to the channel, click for notifications so you know exactly when we're uploading new stuff. And you can support the project via Patreon and get early access to all the sessions starting at just $5 per month. Huge, what a deal. Only $5 a month, and you get to learn from all these great artists. I will say thank you to some of our patrons at the co-star level and higher. We have Joan, Michele, Jim, Magdalen, Ivar, Claudia, Clif, and Jeff. Thank you very much for helping us keep these administrative lights on. And if you have any questions or ideas or suggestions for things that you'd like to see either in the coming weeks or in future sessions, drop a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions. So with that, we're going to do a quick introduction of all the players here, and then we'll get right into rehearsal. As I mentioned, I'm Nathan. I'm way up in rural Northern California, actor, producer, do a lot of audiobooks these days and this. So that's what I'm up to. I will pass it over to our director, Nick, and we'll go from there.
Hi, everyone. It's an honor to be here with three friends of mine, actually, with Gideon, Mark, and Meaghan. Mark and Meaghan have all worked together on separate occasions, but never the three of us. And I've been lucky to work with Gideon a few times with the Working Actors Journey. And I always feel that October is a good month for Macbeth. It seems as the days darken and winter approaches, it feels like a good time to grab the essence of this play. One of my favorite plays. I was lucky enough to perform in it once and play Macbeth. Mark and I went to two schools together, the Boston Conservatory and Lambda. Meaghan and I have done 1,000 productions together, countless. I've been lucky each time. I'm an actor and a director, an occasional producer, and it's an honor to be here today. Meaghan? Oh, here she comes. Mark, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, sir?
Sure. I'm Mark. And Nick, you stole a couple of the things you already teed them up, but um, I can add to it and say Nick and I have the same birthday a year apart. And
Right.
uh, I've always admired Nick. I was a year younger than or sooner than him in school. I was a year behind him and was always kind of chasing him, I think. And so every now and then he gets these text messages from me. What do you think of this? And it's a video of me sitting in my car doing a Shakespeare monologue, and he graciously gives me some feedback. Um, I think my intro to Shakespeare was probably like most people when I was in like sixth grade and we read Romeo and Juliet, and it just immediately pulled me in as one, something challenging that I kind of got an idea about that most of my classmates didn't. And so that kind of pulled me through my entirety of school until I got to Lambda. And then they said, we're doing King Lear. We're not split casting it. And you're going to play King Lear. And it was like a week to learn 800 lines, which I dutifully did. And I don't know how. And I translated that to soap operas for 4 years and, and learning 100 pages a day. So I'm really excited about this. I always pick up this play when I'm trying to just kind of keep the mojo going. So I'm very excited to do this, and I'm very excited to meet all of you.
Welcome, Mark. Thank you very much. Meaghan?
Sorry about that. I am currently at my parents' house in Massachusetts, and their dog was sleeping on the bed, and then she decided it was time to leave, so I had to go grab her. But yeah, normally I'm in LA or Atlanta. Shakespeare's my guy. He's that's always been the way that he uses language to express humanity has always really resonated with me, and the ability to say multiple things at the same time and to challenge us the way he challenged his audience. It's all fabulous. I have a Shakespeare education company I started after grad school called Breaking Bard. So I've been doing language workshops and coaching and stuff like that. But getting to say the speeches are always the best way. And I have never played Lady M. I have auditioned a few times and things have just never worked out. So to get to do this stuff, I have such strong opinions about her and about the story and about the way to make it human and not just a ghost story or a stereotype of, good versus evil, or like these are human beings in the world and how they're interacting with both each other and the supernatural and ambition and all of the above. I think is pretty fascinating. So I'm excited to play.
Excellent. Wonderful. And Mr. Gideon?
Hello. I've been teaching Shakespeare for nigh on to 50 years at every level and working as a dramaturg in the theater. I've written several books. I wrote a book called Appreciating Shakespeare, and I edited Hamlet, a thoroughly annotated edition of Hamlet, because nobody understands that play properly these days. And so I needed to do that to prove my points. Um, and I've put out a book on Shakespeare's figures of speech, which is Shakespeare's rhetorical figures and outline, just listing them all and giving examples. And now I'm working on a book on paradox, which is going to come out soon, not about Shakespeare. Anyway, since I retired from teaching, I've been writing books. I've taught this play I taught for 40 years, so I've probably taught it 35 or 40 times and worked on it. So I know it pretty well. And it's short and one of the very greatest plays. I might end up grappling with Meaghan a little about good and evil, because it's in addition to everything else she said, it is actually also about good and evil. But I'll leave that for the particular lines.
But not just good and evil.
Not just good and evil, correct. So that's about enough to say. I wanted to add to what Nathan said, that anyone watching who has questions during the session, if you're watching live, put them in the chat, and Nathan will field them for us at the end of the session. Isn't that right, Nathan? I think that's right.
Typically, we don't have too much of a live audience, so it's more just the replay. But people can certainly leave comments and questions on YouTube or elsewhere, and then we can always try to bring those up
Deal with
in
it the
future
next
sessions.
week.
Session.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, no problem. Well, it's great to see everybody. Mark, I'm thrilled that you can join us. Meaghan, welcome back to this, and Nick as well. And what I'm excited about is both Mark and Meaghan. You talked about thinking a lot about these characters and with wanting to play these characters, and that's one of the great joys of these series is that you get to now work on these characters, and it's not necessarily hoping and wishing and waiting for a production to cast you. It's like, yeah, you get to work on them and you get to really dive into them. And so I love that we can create those opportunities and spaces for you guys to do some serious work on them. So very excited for the weeks ahead. I'm gonna hang out in the recesses of the theater in the dark seats. So I will try to check back in at the end, but have a great rehearsal.
Thank you, Nathan. Well, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Feeling relaxed?
Now I'm feeling a little nervous, to be honest with you.
You know what? The reason that we're here is exactly what just went on between Gideon and Meaghan. We get to discuss this all the way down for a month, 2 scenes to the bare bones of the language, which is the fun part about all of this. And Gideon is excellent with the words, and I love having him on board because he gets to we can discuss each and every word. I think we're going to have to take a look at a couple of the other scenes too. I think we're going to have to look at 1-5, Meaghan, where she reads the letter. We're going to have to look at the letter a little bit, and then we'll have to take a look at the scene in between these two, between 1-7 and 2-2. Where we have the dagger speech that Macbeth talks about. I think both of these scenes inform what we're looking at right now. You agree, Gideon?
Yes, absolutely, of course. But particularly, we need to read the last speech of Macbeth before the explosion, before he comes in having done the deed. Because the contrast in the way the verse works is one of the great dramatic moments in the play.
Indeed, indeed. So I wrote a little outline of sort of what happens before the first scene that we're working on, before 1-7. And we can tell our audience about it a little bit for those of us who've never read the play. So basically, I wrote on a bleak Scottish moor, just because bleak is a fun word to say. Macbeth and Banquo, returning from battle, meet 3 witches who make 3 prophecies. 1, that Macbeth will be the Thane of Cawdor. 2, that Macbeth will be the King of Scotland. And 3, that Banquo's sons will be king. Macbeth comes back, and the witch's first prophecy comes true. King Duncan makes him Thane of Cawdor. Then King Duncan visits Macbeth's castle, and Lady Macbeth persuades Macbeth to murder King Duncan in his sleep to make the second prophecy come true. Now, she hears about all of this through a letter that Macbeth sends to her. Gideon, would you like to fill in some blanks in there?
1 or 2. The Thane of Cawdor was a rebel against the king, but he died having been caught. He was caught and put to death as a rebel, but he repented at the last moment before he was executed in a sincere way. And by the end of the play, Macbeth, who is also Thane of Cawdor, dies not repenting. So there's a wonderful intensity there. And in the scene where that's said, there's a great rhyme of death and Macbeth that Shakespeare milks for all it's worth there. And the other thing I'd add to what you said is that you kind of prejudged the case when you said Lady Macbeth persuades Macbeth to murder the king, as if the idea starts with her. It starts with both of them. and they reinforce each other, and she needs to reinforce him in most of what we're going to be talking about in our sessions. But they are really two sides of one coin. They are the male and female aspects of this same thing. And the thing, which I agree with Meaghan, cannot be reduced to a single word or phrase or idea. That's why the play has to exist. That thing is expressed and conveyed and articulated by both of them in their distinct ways to get us to get kind of hone in on what it is that's really motivating them. So that's really all I want to say right now.
Should we read it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and read 1-7, and then discuss.
Preparatory drink of water.
Yeah, I'm going to turn my camera off.
Oh. If it were done when 'tis done, then 'twere well it were done quickly. If the assassination could trammel up the consequence and catch with his surcease success, that but this blow might be the be-all and the end-all here. But here, upon this bank and shoal of chime, we jump the life to come. But in these cases we still have judgment here, that we but teach bloody instructions, which being taught return to plague the inventor. This even-handed justice commends the ingredients of our poison chalice to our own lips. He's here in double trust. First, as I am his kinsman and his subject, strong both against the deed, then as his host, who should against his murderer shut the door, not bear the knife myself? Besides, this Duncan hath borne his faculties so meek, hath been so clear in his great office, that his virtues will plead like angels, trumpet-tongued against the deep damnation of his taking off, and pity, like a naked newborn babe striding the blast, or heaven's cherubim horsed upon the sightless couriers of the air, shall blow the horrid deed in every eye, that tears shall drown the wind. I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, but only vaulting ambition, which o'erleaps itself and falls upon... How now? What news?
He is almost supped. Why have you left the chamber?
Hath he asked for me?
Know you not he has?
We will proceed no further in this business. He hath honored me of late, and I have bought golden opinions of all sorts of people, which would be worn now in their newest gloss, not cast aside so soon.
Was the hope drunk wherein you dressed yourself? Hath it slept since? And wakes it now to look so green and pale at what it did so freely? From this time, such I account thy love. Art thou afeard to be the same in thine own act and valor as thou art in desire? Wouldst thou have that which thou esteemest the ornament of life, and live a coward in thine own esteem, letting I dare not wait upon I would, like the poor cat in the adage?
Really, peace. I dare do all that may become a man. Who dares do more is none.
What beast wast then that made you break this enterprise to me? When you durst do it, then you were a man. And to be more than what you were, you would be so much more the man. Nor time nor place did then adhere, and yet you would make both. They have made themselves, and that their fitness now doth unmake you. I have given suck, and know how tender 'tis to love the babe that milks me. I would, while it was smiling in my face, have plucked my nipple from its boneless gums and dashed the brains out, had I so sworn as you have done to this.
We should fail.
We fail. But screw your courage to the sticking place, and we'll not fail. When Duncan is asleep, whereto the rather shall his day's hard journey soundly invite him, his two chamberlains will I with wine and wassail so convince that memory, the warder of the brain, shall be a fume, and the receipt of reason a limbeck only. when in swinish sleep their drenched natures lie as in a death, what cannot you and I perform upon the unguarded Duncan? What not put upon his spongy officers, who shall bear the guilt of our great quell?
Bring forth men children only, for thy undaunted mettle should compose no thing but males. Will it not be received when we have marked with blood those sleepy two of his own chamber, and used their very daggers that they have done?
Who dares receive it other, as we shall make our griefs and clamor roar upon his death?
I am settled. Bend up every corporal agent to this terrible feat. Away, and mock the time with fairest show. False face must hide what false heart doth know.
Okay, well, we're done. Thanks everyone for being here. See you guys later.
Yeah, that was a great performance. I only had 5 notes, and I guess it'll take us a day instead of a month.
That was good. We're done. Gideon, why don't you go first?
Okay. So 5 things. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. The first is I want you to distinguish between enjambed lines and end-stopped lines, because this is Shakespeare's mature period, and he's using a lot of enjambments on purpose, much more than he did in the early plays of the period of Romeo and Juliet, Richard II, and so on. So just be aware of that. I'm not going to force readings on you, but be aware when a line wraps onto the next line and when there really is an end stop. Line 14, I sent you a copy of the text as I edited it for myself, so the line numbers might be a little different. I don't know if you're looking at that one or the original Folger.
I've got 3 different options plus yours here.
Oh, okay. All right, good. So at my line 14, strong both against the deed, I would hit against harder. Here, the reasons, he's giving reasons why they shouldn't do it.
Sure.
So I think you need to bring out against a little bit. Line 53, what was that? Oh, you said, does unmake you with a question, Meaghan? And I think it's an accusation.
Yeah, no, I was just yeah.
I heard the irony in it, and it's possible. I'm not saying don't do it like that. But
no, it wasn't really like a conscious choice. It was just it was in the moment.
Yeah.
Moment.
Okay. So it was kind of sarcastic, and that's good, but it didn't seem to be strong enough. Okay, 61. The but in but screw your courage to the sticking place. It does mean but it also means only. If you will only screw
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we need to hear both those meanings in it, if that's possible. And then finally, 77, I thought, Mark, that you have to hit the they a little bit. I'm the enemy of hitting pronouns. I'm going to stop you hitting pronouns where they're not called for, but where they're called for, it's prejudice not to hit them. So won't it seem that they have done it instead of us?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. Those were my only notes. So minor. I mean, you guys are really good.
The pronoun police. We are here.
I'll be on duty, yes.
I was surprised I didn't get dinged for no thing.
Oh, well.
When I find one like that in the meter, that just calls out to me and I have to do it.
Well, I think it's good to go with the meter first, just to figure out what Shakespeare's trying to get you to stress, and then you can adjust as you will. As I tell all my actors, number one, I tell them several things. One, if you want the audience to mean their applause, you have to mean what you're saying, which means you have to know everything you're saying. But the other is, it's your tuchus up there on the stage, not me. So you have to do what you want with the lines. And I'm here for, illumination and education, I guess.
Well, I mean, since we're dipping into the words themselves, for me, there's so much talk about man versus beast and what becomes a man and what's animal, and the idea that when she has another child, it'll be a thing and not necessarily a human because of the way we're behaving. Like the fierceness of what she's talking about
Yes.
goes beyond human.
And she builds on that when in her speech about unsex me here. That's what that means. She wants to be made inhumanly. She wants her femininity to be abolished in favor of the cliche, masculinity of strength and power and cruelty. She adds cruelty to it. So, and the same is true of this generation of the offspring. They both want them to be unnaturally cruel and violent, and so they are at war with nature in their conversation with each other.
What I loved about that reading is you guys already have that beautiful sense of quiet urgency behind these scenes that the two of them have. It's almost like there's constantly someone coming around the corner, and I love that feeling that exists between the two of them. So much more the man. I always laugh when she says that line because it's so like, yeah, come on, buddy. Let's take a look at the first section until the full stop. We have Mark in your speech. From if it were done all the way until we jump the life to come. Could you just read that whole long section to the full stop?
Sure. If it were done when 'tis done, then 'twere well it were done quickly. If the assassination could trammel up the consequence and catch with his surcease success, that but this blow might be the be-all and the end-all here. But here, upon this bank and shoal of time, we jump the life to come. But in these cases, we still have
That's all right. You could stop right there. So that's the beginning. That's a big chunk to the full stop that Shakespeare's given us right there. And it looks like it's in 3 sections. And let's break it up with some marks. If it were done, read the first part until the first full stop. So
okay,
just the first sentence.
Not quickly. The next one?
Yeah, just go, after quickly.
Okay.
Correct.
If it were done when 'tis done, then 'twere well it were done quickly.
And go on. That's the next section I'm interested in. If the assassination.
If the assassination could trammel up the consequence and catch with his surcease success, that but this blow might be the be-all and the end-all here. But here, wait,
right there. So there's a change. There's something happening after the first here, right? Might be the be-all and the end-all here, and then there's a but.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't stop on it. All right, I stopped there, and it's a comma.
Yeah, I wonder what the choice is. Where something pops in his head right there.
Well, actually, I think it even starts with if it were done when 'tis done. I feel like there's actually an implied antithetical thought in the very first line, and I feel like that section continues that.
So, like he's canceling out the if, you mean?
Yeah, if it were done when I do it. Yes.
Yes. Exactly. Yes, definitely.
So let me see if I can bring that up.
Can I add a couple things too?
Please.
Here is more important than you're making it even the first time. The second time, but here upon this bank and shoal of time is an extension of the first one. And he's distinguishing between here, meaning in this life, and the afterlife. That's what's going on here. So we jump means risk. So I'm willing to risk the life to come if we can have success here.
So there may be a vocal topping with the second, but here.
Yes.
You know what I'm like technically, Mark?
Yep.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like if you could try, if we could hear it one time, if you could go from
it can mean even just here, like without regard to anything after. The be all and the end all just for this side
here, in this moment.
No, just for this side of death. Like, I don't care what happens to my soul. I only care about becoming the king.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's just hear that if the assassination could trammel all the way to we jump the life to come.
Okay. If the assassination could trammel up the consequence and catch with his surcease success, that but this blow might be the be-all and the end-all here. But here, upon this bank and shoal of time, we jump the life to come.
Now
That's
then,
great. Even just that decision that you were making right there makes it so clear, Mark. You know, just that you gave it like it just pushes up and enhances the next decision that he's making.
Mm-hmm.
And you can bring out this bank and shoal of time as opposed to the other side.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, interesting.
If we're on there talking about the river Styx, I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Let's go on and push through. I think you got that.
Yeah.
Let's go from but in these cases, and there's another here coming.
Yeah. Well, and this is his rational. This is
the contrary argument now.
Right. But in these cases, we still have judgment here. But in these cases, we still have judgment here, that we but teach bloody instructions, which being taught, return to plague the inventor.
Even here, even before the afterlife.
But in these cases, we still have but in these cases, we still have judgment here, that we but teach bloody instructions, which being taught, return to plague the inventor. This even-handed justice commends the ingredients of our poison chalice to our own lips. He's here, in double trust, first as I am his kinsman and his subject, strong both against the deed. Then as his host, who should against his murderer shut the door, not bear the knife myself. Besides, this Duncan hath borne his faculties so meek, hath been so clear in his great office, that his virtues will plead like angels, trumpet-tongued against the deep damnation of his taking off. And pity, this is where I get stuck, and pity, like a naked newborn babe striding the blast, or heaven's cherubim horsed upon the sightless couriers of the air, shall blow the horrid deed in every eye, that tears shall drown the wind. I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, but only vaulting ambition, which o'erleaps itself and falls on the other. How now, what news?
Good. It's interesting. I feel like the end has some similarities in sort of vibe to the to be or not to be speech.
Mm-hmm.
It feels I don't know. You can help me with this, Gideon. It feels unresolved, like there's a whole nother speech that's still ahead, but he's interrupted.
Well, actually, the whole other speech is going to come from her. So he's of two minds here. And he concludes by saying, the only spur I have is ambition. And that's inconclusive until later in the scene. So you're absolutely right. It's an open question right now. He's given the reasons that it should happen quickly and that he wants to do it. And then he gives the reasons it shouldn't be done. And then he gives the only reason that's motivating him to do it. So it's like a three-part speech.
Yeah. Mark, tell me what you think about this. I feel like when I hear you read it, there's a change that wants to come after wind, after that tears shall drown the wind.
Yeah.
And then he goes into I have no spur. I feel I don't know, there feels like you want to make an adjustment there, and I like whatever that choice is.
Yeah, thanks. I think he was 50-50 before he starts talking, and I think at this point, I think he was actually closer towards doing it, and I think he's kind of talked himself back off the cliff a little bit and has decided he can't do it.
It's horrible what he thinks of the result of doing it.
Well,
he uses the word damnation, and then the whole world is going to be against him, including nature. Tears, water will drown the wind, air, the two elements.
I would give you a little homework with this speech, and that's to really take a look at the last words of every line.
Yes.
catch and blow and time and cases and teach and return. If you can sort of, the penny churns it. Mark, she was a teacher that we had in college that was real big on that. But it seems to be helpful as I listen to you read it to build to those, and create that momentum to the full stops.
It's funny you say it because I've literally been walking around tapping my chest, like finding the N words if I don't have the text in my hand.
Yeah, and especially, I don't know. And Gideon, for some reason, the verse is amazing to me in this play. Like all of Shakespeare's plays, but something about this particular play, like he was really on fire when he was writing
Absolutely, at the peak of his gift.
I don't know. Yeah.
What I would add to what you're saying is it's always good to do that as a study, but you mustn't lash yourself to it like a slave, because it's any such rule that you embrace too automatically hardens you to the actual flow, the living flow of the verse. So what my challenge would be is, after you've done that, then go back to the actual sense of the sentence. I mean, obviously it's all built on iambic pentameter. I want that to be there, but clarify the sense of the sentence in the light of all that other work, because that's what's going to ring in the audience. The power of the verse Shakespeare's already done. You don't have to push that. It's there. You just have to reveal it by meaning what the words mean, and the verse then supports you, and it does so much of the work for you. And especially, you're right, Nick, in this play, it's really, he's at the peak of his power.
Yeah,
There's literally
absolutely.
There's a pulse in so much of this.
Yeah,
very much so.
Like it's a near panic attack for him in moments. You can feel that it speeds up, and there's a missed beat, and then
and she has an entirely different pulse, which is so interesting. But it creates, it's like an offbeat and a beat that creates perfect song. Like it's fantastic.
And it's Act One, so he's still on the edge. He's still redeemable. He hasn't actually gone over. And when he does go over, he's going to say, "For mine own good, all causes shall give way." And there's no going back at that point. I just want to say one thing about the last lines of this speech, because the editors just go way off base, I think, in interpreting it 10 ways. And I just want you to know that to fall on means to attack in the Renaissance. So the vaulting ambition, he uses the metaphor of a horse and a spur, and the horse is my intent. And then, or leaps itself. So it means over jumps, like a horse over jumping a barrier. But it also means to go beyond one's own place in the world, in the universe. It's the wrong kind of ambition. Macbeth is overleaping himself to become king when he's really not a king, he's a thane. And falls on the other means attack the other. So the vaulting ambition overleaps itself and attacks Duncan, attacks the other. And that leads to his, he thinks that's going to lead to the pleasure of being king, if they can make it work, right? If we can trample up the consequence.
It's in 1-5, Lady Macbeth talks about his nature. We'll have to take a look at that, and we see what's happening, and this is her fear that he has. I forget what the line is, but that he has a little bit too much. A little bit too much goodness in him for what she wants to try to get out. But we're going to see. Megan's going to give us. What'd you say, Meaghan?
What he wants for himself. It's not just what she wants; it's what he wants. She's giving him what he wants.
Yes, I like it.
That she's not doing it for her; she's doing it for him.
I like that. Let's move on and let's bring her in. Can you just give us the end of your speech?
Yeah, sure. I was just thinking about what Meaghan was just saying, and I was thinking about knowing his secret desire, even if he's barely given it voice, you know.
And when he sends her that letter and he's like, they
an
said I'm
opportunity.
going to be king. If he didn't really believe it and want it, and like there's a part of him that's, wants to be drawn out, he wouldn't have written it down.
Mm,
He
mhm.
wouldn't have brought it to her. He wouldn't have been like, my dearest companion, like,
Yeah.
here we go.
I think he knows that they're of one mind in this.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
And he knows he can't do it without her. And she knows he
yes,
can't do it without her.
that's right. And
Yeah.
when they separate, she's the one to pull him back onto their path.
Mm.
But it's a very bad path. And it
It's,
is
yeah,
not, it's not actually for his sake to bring him back onto that path, right? It's for the sake of their both being these exalted things, king and queen. That's their image of the I was
What
thinking
success
today
means.
in
Yeah.
preparation for this, I was thinking about Shakespeare's Sonnet 129 about lust. The expense of spirit and a waste of shame is lust in action. And the whole thing about lust applies to their lust for power. It's a kind of irrational, mad lust for power, but controlled by a very strong intellect and will to make it happen and make it work. Trammel up the consequence, make us succeed here, and then forget the eternal consequences.
Well, and there's
Yeah, I always
also
think it's really interesting how fast he's willing to get rid of like eternal damnation. Like if
Yeah.
that was all, if it was just eternal damnation, then that's fine. Like,
Yes, exactly.
well, yeah, interesting that you say that, because I was just thinking about the fact that all of this comes from the fact that he was so vicious and winning in battle and just soaked in blood. And in a lot of ways, I think probably has lost most of his faith in whatever comes next anyway, because of the way he's just been hacking through people. You know, there's a coldness that comes from just,
Yes.
which is why actually committing the act of killing someone who maybe wasn't like his father, but someone he respected and idolized, like you're killing Marcus Aurelius, at least in the way that I'm looking at it, you know, like
Right.
it's, you can kill a bunch of people, but when you go to kill that one person, and that's the final straw. Anyway,
And
sorry.
I think to add to what you're saying, he has achieved glory by killing.
Mhm.
That's his method for getting what he wants. And
Mm.
what he's wanted up till now was to win for Duncan, right, against the rebels. But now he wants to win for himself against Duncan, and the obvious method is killing.
Mm.
Well, let's see what the lady has to say about it.
I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, but only vaulting ambition, which o'erleaps itself and falls on the other. How now? What news?
he has almost slept. Why have you left the chamber?
Hath he asked for me?
No, you not he has.
We will proceed no further in this business. He hath honored me of late, and I have bought golden opinions from all sorts of people, which would be worn now in their newest gloss, not cast aside so soon.
Was the hope drunk wherein you dressed yourself? Hath it slept since? And wakes it now to look so green and pale at what it did so freely? From this time, such I account thy love. Art thou afeard to be the same in thine own act and valor as thou art in desire? Wouldst thou have that which thou esteemest the ornament of life, and live a coward in thine own esteem, letting I dare not wait upon I would, like the poor cat in the adage?
Prithee, peace. I dare do all that may become a man. Who dares do more is none.
What beast was it then that made you break this enterprise to me? When you durst do it, then you were a man. And to be more than what you were, you would be so much more the man. Nor time nor place did then adhere, and yet you would make both? Nor time nor place did then adhere, and yet you would make both. They have made themselves, and that their fitness now does unmake you, and that their fitness now. They have made themselves, and that their fitness now does unmake you. I have given suck, and know how tender 'tis to love the babe that milks me. I would, while it was smiling in my face, have plucked my nipple from his boneless gums and dashed the brains out, had I so sworn as you have done to this.
If we should fail.
We fail. But screw your courage to the sticking place, and will not fail. When Duncan is asleep, whereto the rather shall his day's hard journey soundly invite him, his two chamberlains will I with wine and wassail so convince that memory, the warder of the brain, shall be a fume, and the receipt of reason a limbeck only. When in swinish sleep their drenched nature lies as in a death, what cannot you and I perform upon the unguarded Duncan? What not put upon his spongy officers who shall bear the guilt of our great quell?
Okay, let's stop right there. There's so much to unpack already. My goodness. How now, what news? Let's see. He has almost supped. And then she comes right in with this question. I love her energy right off the bat here. Let's just read and stop and go a little bit. Is that okay?
Sure.
Let's start with how now, what news, Mark?
How now, what news?
He hath almost supped. Why have you left the chamber?
Hath he asked for me?
Know you not he has?
We will proceed no further in this business. He hath honored me of late, and I have bought golden opinions of all sorts of people, which would be worn now in their newest gloss, not cast aside so soon.
Okay, let's look at that real fast. So Macbeth's deciding to, it almost sounds like give her an order or a command right there, isn't it? It's interesting. What do you think about that choice, Mark?
Yeah, I think he's saying, we're done. I was wrong. We're moving on. We won't talk about it again. Moving on.
Yeah, it's very interesting. He's very adamant right there. He makes the choice. That's it. First, Gideon, did you want to give a couple of notes on the reading that they just had?
I only had two. I thought it was really beautifully done. Line 53, further down, they have made themselves. You can hit the that. I think it's a demonstrative.
Yes, and that their fitness now.
And that their fitness now does unmake you, and then you can hit the you. They've made themselves, it's unmaking you. So we have a double antithesis, made and unmake themselves
and you.
Yeah, that's it. Those are my only notes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So Meaghan, what do you think that she wants from him? So he says, how now, what news? And she says he has almost supped. And then why is she asking that question? Why have you left the chamber?
Because she knows that he's a waffler and that she's gonna have to make sure he stays on track. And so he's asking stupid questions. You know, like, did he ask about me? Like, dude, it's your house. That it's I think a little bit of, I mean, I think of, he's been out here in, you know, the hallway or the pantry or something talking to himself, and she's been like, hey, I'm at the dinner table with the king and everything's great, and then, oh, he's not here, and you know, so she's got this sense of like, let's get you back in the dining room and let's keep doing what we're doing.
So she left the dinner to go find him, right?
Yes.
And
so they have to get back.
Yes, she's going to tell him to get back there. I see.
Yeah.
And then and then he comes right at her with this command. And her response, what do you think? She doesn't seem to like what he has to say there.
I think that this goes back to, we were talking about her her oath scene where she's, you know, unsex me here and all that she has abandoned her humanity. And so him saying like, she's past the point of no return. And I'd be curious what like culturally at the time, was there something about like, you know, going back on like, okay, we've decided to do this thing, and where is that morally? Like, is there a point of no return, or is there like, now that we've decided this thing, that she's gonna push him. Like she's like, I know you better than you know yourself, baby. Like I get what you're saying, but like this is not what we talked about.
And she's marshaling a whole set of arguments that aren't the identical argument to each other,
right,
to re-persuade him. In other words, each
right,
thing she says is another counter argument to his argument for why they shouldn't proceed. His argument for why they shouldn't proceed is, I'm being honored now. That's what I want. I want that glory. And she's going, yeah, but you have more as a king. So what? Wait, why are you stopping? Here are the reasons not to. And she is digging at him, right? She
yes,
is attacking him in his male ego.
yes.
Yeah, let's look at that. Mark, will you read "We will proceed no further," and then Meaghan, will you read the three questions that she asks?
Mm-hmm.
We will proceed no further in this business. He hath honored me of late, and I have bought golden opinions of all sorts of people, which would be worn now in their newest gloss, not cast aside so soon.
Was the hope drunk wherein you dressed yourself? Hath it slept since? And wakes it now to look so green and pale at what it did so freely?
Yeah, that's interesting. So that's what you're talking about, Gideon.
Exactly right.
It's
exactly
a response
right.
directly to what he says.
And I think that he is telling her this because he knows that's not the end of the discussion. He doesn't say we will proceed no further in this business. We're not talking about it anymore. He's given her reasons, and he expects her to come back with counter arguments.
So he's fishing? He's like,
I don't think
I don't really like this outfit that I'm wearing.
I don't think he knows he's fishing. I don't think he knows he's fishing, but he knows his wife.
Which gives us a clue into their relationship, right?
Yes.
It tells us how they communicate with each other a little bit. You know, he probably does check in with her.
Yes.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
That's why he wrote that letter.
I was gonna say that's why she gets the letter she gets.
Right.
I think too, like he also, what's interesting about this that I hadn't thought about before with him is that he doesn't say we're never gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
He says, now is not the time. I got, I'm sane now, like
And part of her answer is, what do you mean it's perfect timing right now?
Exactly. Like that's part of it, is that like we didn't even have to make this happen. It's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
And
let's go on and read the second part of Lady Macbeth's response from this time, such I account thy love.
From this time, such I account thy love. Art thou afeared to be the same in thine own act and valor as thou art in desire? Wouldst thou have that which thou esteemest the ornament of life, and live a coward in thine own esteem, letting I dare not wait upon I would, like the poor cat in the adage?
Interesting. Let's just look at that section for a second.
So the first thing I would say is it's all questions.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
A wife.
Yeah, she doesn't like tell him shit.
Right, exactly. Yeah. She can't tell him what to do. He can say, we will proceed no further, and she's got to absorb that. And her answer is a wife's answer. Oh, really? Do you think this? Is that why? Do you blah, blah, blah? Question.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'm wanting to play with her is, I think so often I see her as like, she's like at 100 from the beginning, and I want to see her like growing into the role in a way. And I feel like there's part of it's like, it's so easy to fall into like super sarcastic and lose the like, but this is what you want, like to like, instead of just berating him, to sort of like, how can I get him where he wants to be, as opposed to me just like shaming him into it.
Right.
I'm really enjoying the stability that you're bringing to it, Meaghan. There's a stillness that makes her trustworthy, and to the audience, at least to me, when I watch you do it, it feels like somebody that I could trust, which is
like that.
Is powerful for what's happening here. Okay, I need a little help here. Wouldst thou have that which thou esteemest the ornament of life?
That's
and
the crown.
Yeah, it's the king of
Oh,
kings,
okay.
the crown.
Okay. The ornament of life, and live a coward in thine own esteem.
So you're not going to do it. So you're going to live your whole life knowing I was too cowardly to do the thing.
I see.
Even though I
Letting,
value the crown as the
right,
highest thing in life.
right. And so that letting that I dare not being more important than I want it.
Right. And the
Do you know
Wait
what who the cat in the adage is?
Yes, the cat in the adage wanted to eat fish, but he didn't want to get his feet wet.
That's right. That's right. That's
Oh,
totally it.
okay.
That's totally
Thank
it.
you. I didn't know what that was. Fantastic. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's keep going. And then so he stops her here. Go ahead and read on through Lady M's next speech, if you wouldn't mind.
Prithee, peace. I dare do all that may become a man. Who dares do more is none.
What beast was then that made you break this enterprise to me? When you durst do it, then you were a man. And to be more than what you were, you would be so much more the man. Nor time nor place did then adhere. And yet you would make both. They have made themselves. And that their fitness now does unmake you. I have given suck, and know how tender 'tis to love the babe that milks me. I would, while it was smiling in my face, have plucked my nipple from its boneless gums and dashed the brains out, had I so sworn as you have done to this.
If we should fail.
That's an interesting tactic that she decides to use there. And she makes that choice after she makes a choice to propel after does unmake you. Right? Meaghan, I heard you just make that
Yeah, it's interesting because it's one of those like midline shifts where if it were contemporary, we put a big old pause in and like come up with something, but because it's Shakespeare, it's going to keep moving. That it's, I think.
Why do you think she makes that change right there?
I think because they're talking about men and women, they're talking about men and less men, less manly men, and then she's like, I'm not even a man.
Oh,
and
okay.
I would do this.
And
I think she takes like the most like female thing that you could possibly do, which now she's abandoned because she's called upon the forces of darkness.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, I'm not even a woman anymore. Like I know, and I loved my children. And I think that's one of the things that's important about it is she's like, no, I loved that baby. I love this thing and I will destroy it if I had sworn it the way you swore to be king.
And she's fulfilling her request to be unsexed in the earlier scene.
Yes.
So this is she is enacting the proof that the spirits are inspiriting her to do exactly that.
I have a question about that. I've been trying to uncover like the child that they had or that she had and where that falls in their relationship. And how that, I mean, having known a few people that have lost a child young, and how that if they stay together, it creates a dynamic where there's constant codependent like check-in with each other, or it creates, a fracture that they're trying to meet each other over this abyss, and I don't know. I guess I just wanted to dive in to hear what your thoughts, Gideon and Meaghan, are on that, and how long ago was this? And I probably missed this in my read, but I've always been curious about that.
There's a famous essay called "How Many Children Had Lady Macbeth?" The answer is that Shakespeare doesn't tell us, nor does he make any issue of it, except where that line comes, "I have given suck." Later in the play, we're going to hear Macduff say he has no children, right? So he doesn't know what it's like for your children to be destroyed. So it seems like a contradiction, but the lines are meant to work where they come. So what I'm saying to you is you can develop a whole psychological theory if you want to, and there's nothing to stop you from using any interpretation, but there's nothing in the play that's specifically about what you were saying. We just
I think that is so well said.
It's not given us.
I can say
Yeah.
that historically, and I don't know, Shakespeare got a lot of these stories. What's it called, Gideon? The Hillstead Chronicles, or
Hillstead
Holinshed.
Chronicles.
Holinshed.
Yeah.
oh yeah, there is talk of the history of these people in there, and she was married before,
That's what
apparently.
I was going to bring up. Yeah.
So she may have had children with, and with her last husband.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And I've seen a lot of productions where they have like a dead baby at the beginning. Like you can
Oh.
choose.
Oh,
Yeah, they have like
yeah.
a funeral for the, like I
Oh,
think you
yeah.
can, as
Interesting.
Gideon so beautifully said, you can decide, has she had children with him or have they had a child they lost?
Mm.
And
I think
it gives you different things.
I think you
Yeah.
just have to be careful of going too far off the track that Shakespeare gives you in order to develop those other ideas.
Sure.
Because it can be useful for the actors to think that way. It can be distracting for the audience to have a subplot that doesn't exist.
Sure.
Well said.
Yeah, it's more, I think for me, as an actor, it just gives me a different starting point, a different footing.
Dimension.
I
Because
think
I mean,
one
Mark,
of
let's
the
talk-
things that I'm
I've got three
thinking of-
kids, so I immediately, it resonates for me in a different way if it was actually somebody else's kid than if it was
and
my own.
this is actually the first time I've thought about it in terms of like a choice as an actor of, I know this thing that you don't know. Like you don't know what it's like to have a child. I know what it's like to have a child.
Interesting.
And there's
which
nothing
might
more
be-
sacred than that, really. Like
Right.
in human life, there's nothing more sacred than the
Right.
connection between a mother and her child.
And I think that's more than anything the point. That
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it doesn't actually, as Gideon says, it doesn't actually matter. Do they have kids running? Did they have a child that's, or did she have a child? Or
The point is that the metaphor is an exact mirror image of killing the father figure of Duncan. And it's interesting that when it comes down to it, she can't do it.
right.
Ah,
Because
so
he looks
also-
like her dad.
He
so
looked
what
like
do you
my
think that
father.
he means then, which is what spurs all of this, is his line, "Dare do all that may become a man who dares do more is none." What do you think, Mark? What do you think he's saying right there?
Okay, so I'm gonna get a little nerdy. I did a little bit of reading about Shakespeare's personal philosophy and studying, and for me, if I relate, I've already called Duncan Marcus Aurelius. If I'm looking at this from a Stoic perspective, the idea that the ambition, the thing to want, is the thing that's going to make you miserable in life, and if he is a studied man, Macbeth, then he has an idea of what honor is, what the virtues are, the four virtues, temperance, justice, wisdom, and courage. And when you start to shoot beyond that, that's when you compromise your own overall goodness. And I think that's one of the things that he's couching it with here. I also think he's also from just a more basic man level going, did you not see me on the fucking battlefield with the big sword and chopping people in half? Don't tell me I'm not a man. I think
Real
there's
men
kind of
don't commit mortal crime.
That's right.
I just want to, I love your nerdiness. It's fabulous. It warms the cockles of my heart. So I'll just add that he is not recognizing that the very alternative he imagined at the beginning, if we could achieve success here, we jump the life to come. He is blinding himself to the unity between what goes on here and what is the life to come. There is no way he can be happy by doing what he's doing. And the whole play demonstrates it. It just plunges him deeper and deeper into damnation and misery. So the idea that you can be happy doing evil in this life, forgetting the world to come, is itself an illusion. It's not just that you're ignoring ultimate judgment. You're ignoring the judgment that we have here, which he names in the earlier speech, but turns against it. So it's a profound self-delusion that she is feeding,
and that he's even aware of.
right?
And similar, Nick, to the to be or not to be speech, which I think is rife with his Stoic dilemma, what to do.
So this sounds like it's a philosophy that is important to him. Um, like him saying that is something that is conclusive, and that's why she comes in with many powerful questions and tactics to refute that.
Because everybody knows it. You don't have to be a philosopher to know that what they're plotting does not become a man, in the sense of is not becoming for a man. Everybody knows this. Killing the king, like killing your child, it's just out of the pale of human civilization. So that's his argument. And she's saying, well, but you were a man when you were willing to do it, because that showed courage. And courage and violence and cruelty are the qualities she wants in him now, and not humanity.
And that's why she says beast, and it's the juxtaposition between man and beast.
Exactly.
Excellent. Thank you for
she's not
explaining
saying
that to
he
me.
is a beast. She's saying, oh, you must have been a beast then.
Mm.
When you came up with this idea. Yeah.
And then she's
Awesome.
like, no, that's not what it is. It's that's when you were a man.
But daring, when you durst. So daring,
Yes.
for her, or at least in her argument, defines the manliness of the man.
Valor.
And
Act of
he
valor.
doesn't distinguish between daring on the battlefield, which you were saying before, Mark,
Yep.
and daring to kill the king, or daring to dash the brains out of your own child. Those are two different kinds of daring, because they're both daring, but one, it's daring in the context of the orderly universe, and the other is daring to go against it.
One of my favorite things is coming up. I love this next little section. If we should fail, and then Lady has two words that she says. And there are so many different ways. What is your choice? I think there's a few different ways that you could respond to that. I don't know. What do you think? What's your choice with her next line?
Let me just add that you have a
yeah.
choice. I just want to add that Nick's right. You have a choice, and the reason is the question mark might be a question mark, or it might be an exclamation point. And people have argued for every kind of nuance of this sentence.
I love it so much. It's one of the fun things I kind of wait for when I see this show, because I'm like, oh, how's she going to say it?
Right.
Where's she going to put the emphasis?
So you have it. You really have a choice.
Yeah.
I'm a firm. It's one of the few things that I think I wouldn't mess around with. I have such an instinct towards the then we fail, but all you have to do is this one thing and we won't. That I think for me that the whole, like, to make it like a question, like we fail, like to me, like it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's weaker.
I feel like it's a punch in the face. It's like, so what if we do this thing? Well, then it happens. But if you do the right thing, it won't happen. And like for me, I think that's a really important thing, that like stop thinking. And I think too, when it is an exclamation like that, it's stop thinking about it. Think about, screw your cards to the sticking place, get the shit done. And it won't happen.
She's gonna say that later. She said, if you keep thinking like this, you're gonna go crazy. That's not
right.
I also want to point out, make sure that you know what the sticking place refers to. Do you know that? It's an image from the crossbow.
Oh, yes.
And
right.
the crossbow was forbidden in various countries by various people, including at certain times the Pope, because it was such a cruel instrument compared to the longbow, which required more courage, in a sense. But so you screw the band or the string to the sticking place, which is the trigger, and then you shoot the crossbow arrow. And of course, the crossbow is built on a cross, so it's got this contrast going on.
So is this one line we have here, guys? Is it from "and dash the brains out" all the way through to "but screw"? Is that does that
done
scan?
to this, if we should fail, we fail.
Yeah. Does that scan as one line?
Yes. as you have, no, as you have done to this if we should fail. That's the one line.
And
We
then,
fail.
so there could be a breath
Oh,
before
no.
her response.
We fail is what is its own line.
Okay.
I've seen in different editions,
No,
and I'm
I'm
going to
sorry.
make a fight. Okay.
No, you're absolutely right. It's all one line. It's all one line.
Yeah, have done
Okay.
to this if we should fail, we fail.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting. That's
I just
interesting.
changed my text here.
Let's read. Can we read the through that section and down to of our great quell? Is that okay?
Yeah, starting from where?
Let's just go through. I have given suck.
Okay. I have given suck, and know how tender 'tis to love the babe that milks me. I would, while it was smiling in my face, have plucked my nipple from his boneless gums and dashed the brains out, had I so sworn as you have done to this.
If we should fail.
We fail. But screw your courage to the sticking place, and we'll not fail. When Duncan is asleep, whereto the rather shall his day's hard journey soundly invite him, his two chamberlains will I with wine and wassail so convince that memory, the warder of the brain, shall be a fume, and the receipt of reason a limbic only. When in swinish sleep their drenched natures lies in a death, what cannot you and I perform upon the unguarded Duncan? What not put upon his spongy officers, who shall bear the guilt of our great quell?
Thank you very much. Now, just for fun, because we're exploring this and this is what it's all about, and you by no means have to make this. Can we go through that section again, but hear what happens if we make we fail a question and just see if it informs the next section in any different way, just for our audience's sake?
Sure.
Let's just see what happens for fun.
I have given suck, and know how tender 'tis to love the babe that milks me. I would, while it was smiling in my face, have plucked my nipple from his boneless gums and dashed the brains out, had I so sworn as you have done to this.
If we should fail.
We fail? But screw your courage to the sticking place, and we'll not fail. When Duncan is asleep, whereto the rather shall his day's hard journey soundly invite him, his two chamberlains will I with wine and wassail so convince that memory, the warder of the brain, shall be a fume, and the receipt of reason a limbic only. When in swinish sleep their drenched natures lies as in a death, what cannot you and I perform upon the unguarded Duncan? What not put upon his spongy officers, who shall bear the guilt of our great quell?
Bring forth men, children only.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I like your I think you're right the first time there. It was interesting to hear because the but doesn't work quite as well if it's a question mark, I feel like.
That's the way I feel. I mean, I know that we've got the sense of only, like, that maybe is heavier if you use it as a question, but for me, I don't know. I don't love it.
Well, yeah, you would have to put the emphasis on both words. It would have to be we fail, like impossible, you know what I mean?
Right.
But then the but doesn't, like with the way you delivered it the first time, we fail, but screw your courage to the sticking place and will not fail. That gives it more, it felt more weight the first time you read it. I agree with your choice on that.
Yeah, I think it gives more weight to this is what you should do.
Yeah, for sure.
This is what happens, like not dwelling on the failure. But
I agree with that. I just want to point out why we're free here, because we can't always trust the folio. The folio ends the line 58, 5, 6, 57, 50, and dash the brains out had I so sworn. That's the line break. The next line is, as you have done to this if we should fail, and we fail is its own line. So the editors can fudge that, because it also works to say, and dash the brains out had I so sworn as you have done to this if we should fail, we fail. So I'm just
interesting.
I'm doing my due diligence to tell
you are indeed
what the folio says, but I think you're free to do it this way, and I think it works much better.
Well, I also
Am
think
I
it creates.
recalling? Oh, go on.
No, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, am I recalling correctly that Macbeth has some weird, like the original publishing, that there's some like weirdness with some of the typesetting and language and words and stuff like that, that there was some messiness there?
Uh, not more than usual, but plenty.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the folio, that I could give you a whole lecture on all the things in the folio that make it iffy, or the quartos for that matter. We have to be profoundly grateful to Hemmings and Condell for collecting these best texts they could find and hiring 2 great typesetters and 3 suboptimal ones. And people have studied, they know all 5 of them, they're A, B, C, D, and E. And they know that A is excellent, B is pretty good, C and D are not so good, and F is awful. So yeah, there's stuff in everything. In fact, the whole Hecate scene, the Hecate lines are not Shakespeare. They're not by Shakespeare. I'm convinced they're just interpolations when they took it out to the country, and they stole a song from a Middleton play. Anyway, yes, so you're right. There are issues, but
I feel the same way about the people who make the condensed NFL games. Some of them I love, and I think some of them are terrible.
I just wanted to add, Meaghan, I feel like also performance-wise, you had mentioned earlier that you want to give her, you want her to build into this propulsive force. And I feel like your first choice with the exclamation gives you somewhere else to go versus the sarcasm of the question, the emasculation of the question. You're more coaching him forward. It's the locker room before the event versus
Yeah, I like that.
versus the like.
Yeah.
I already said the
Yeah.
word.
and that's a good analogy, because the coach can't go out on the field and play. She needs him.
Right.
He needs her to convince him, but she needs him to do it, because without him becoming king, she's not going to become queen. So
And
she's
got
got
the
to
practice.
change his mind.
Sorry, I have a dog here too, and a dog. Let's go on. Great job, you guys. You're doing wonderful work. This is really exciting.
Oh, weird. Okay. A little bit.
Let's bring forth men, children only.
Bring forth men, children only. For thy undaunted metal should compose no thing but males. I can't help it. I have to say it that way. It just wants to be said that way. Bring forth men, children only. For thy undaunted metal should compose nothing but males. Will it not be received when we have marked with blood those sleepy 2 of his own chamber, and used their very daggers that they have done?
Who dares receive it other, as we shall make our griefs and clamor roar upon his death.
I am settled, and bend up each corporal agent to this terrible feat. Away, and mock the time with fairest show. False face must hide what false heart doth know.
Oh, okay.
Are
Man,
these
oh man.
shared
Let's
lines too, you think?
Yeah, I think I
Yes.
broke that up too
Like
much.
that propulsion to the end?
Yes, that they have done it, who dares receive it other, is one line. Upon his death, I am settled and bend up, is one
Yeah.
line. Of our
Repeat
great
that
quell,
again.
bring forth men, children only, that's one line.
It's one of my favorite like shared line scenes.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
The way they keep each other moving.
Yeah. Also, I just had one note, and that is, Mark, on line 77 or 78. Will it not be received when we have marked with blood the 2 of the chamber and used their daggers, that they have done it, not anybody else?
Yeah. Yes, I
Because
agree.
you're hitting, they have done it, and I lose the point of the sentence.
Fair.
That's it. That was my only note that time.
I feel like it's my attempt at basically reiterating the plan back to her so that she can approve the plan before I go do it.
Yeah,
But
that's
in like
fair
a,
enough. That's fair
I'm
enough.
not dumb, but is this your idea? You know?
It's confirmation. He wants confirmation.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. When it's that direct, I get it. Okay. Can we do that
And
again?
also remember, the audience doesn't know the plan. So he's going over it, but we are only hearing it the first time.
Well, I think too, he's building off of her suggestion. She's like, I'm going to get them drunk and sleeping. And so then we can do whatever with, you know, and then he's like, oh, so if I take their daggers, then we'll do the thing.
Yeah, Meaghan, could you read the plan from when Duncan is asleep for me one more time?
Yeah. Bad page turn for me. When Duncan is asleep, whereto the rather shall his day's hard journey soundly invite him, his two chamberlains will I with wine and wassels so convince that memory, the warder of the brain, shall be a fume, and the receipt of reason a limbic only. When in swinish sleep their drenched natures lies as in a death, what cannot you and I perform upon the unguarded Duncan? But not put upon his spongy officers who shall bear the guilt of our great quell.
Bring forth men children only, for thine undaunted metal should compose nothing but males. Will it not be received when we have marked with blood those sleepy two of his own chamber and used their very daggers that they have done?
Who dares receive it other, as we shall make our griefs and clamor roar upon his death.
Okay, I figured out what I need here. So a lot of my directing is clarifying things that I would be confused about if I was watching the show. And there's so much information going here that I need a beat.
Okay.
And I think where it lives, Mark, is after nothing but males.
Yep.
Do you think maybe it feels like the next question is an idea that pops in his head. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not. Could I hear you sort of plow through and then take a minute to think of will it?
Yes.
That's a question that you're asking her. You know what I mean?
And I think they're stepping forward in the plot. So he suggested, and she says yes, and she goes a step further.
Yeah, some kind of change there, Mark. Yeah, let's hear that. Go ahead and read your plan, Meaghan. Or let's go from what not put upon his spongy officers. Spongy officers.
Sponge is one of my favorites. What not put upon his spongy officers who shall bear the guilt of our great quell?
Bring forth men children only, for thine undaunted metal should compose nothing but males. Will it not be received when we have marked with blood those sleepy two of his own chamber and used their very daggers that they have done?
Who dares receive it other, as we shall make our griefs and clamor roar upon his death?
Yeah, that's right. It can be just a quick beat, but just a breath, for the
less than that
idea to land. Yeah, for sure. Even shorter than that. Just a minute to think of the question.
Like an Olivier 1-2 count, like one.
Yeah, sure. Works. Sure. Yeah, it is, but it is a rhythm. It is a song, Oh,
yeah.
So,
and the end of her part of the song is final for him. I'm settled.
I'm settled.
The last stage of her plot is the hypocrisy of pretending to be grief-stricken at the death of Duncan. We're going to clamor about his death. And that image ties up the knot for him. I'm settled. And then he repeats the idea. Mock the time with fairest show, false face, false heart, right? We're both in agreement in going into this performance, this hypocritical performance.
Well, and ostensibly we're going back into the dinner, having decided all of this. And so we really have to false face it up.
Yeah.
I do have a question, Gideon, with the will it not be received? Because I think so often when we see stuff like that, we're like, oh, he's coming up with this idea, but he's actually really kind of just taking what she said, because she says we're going to put the guilt on them, and he's like, oh, people will see that we're putting the guilt on, like
She
he's like
says,
confirming. Is there a like the will it not be received? Is there a in the will it? Is it any different than the way we would use it? Because we contemporary read it as, oh, I'm coming up with an idea, but it's not really that, is it?
no, won't it be? We would say, won't it?
Yeah. Okay.
Won't it be received like that? I'm hoping it
Yeah.
will. And she says,
Right.
yeah, for sure it will.
Right.
Because we're going to make it like that, because we're going to, we're going to make our griefs and clamor roar upon his death. So yeah, you're right. It's not an absolute question. It's like a hypothetical looking for agreement.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to get to in earlier reads, was not just confirmation, but like, do you really think this is going to work? You know, more of a,
Yeah, just confirm that I'm on the right track here.
yeah. Well, and then we're not going to get burned at the stake or have our heads lopped off.
I mean, it could almost be, is it almost is it a small, like a celebration of her brilliant idea then? Sort of, is it a positive
That could be.
thing? Like,
You've just
There's
touched on
also,
the thing
there's
that I
always the
struggle
question
with.
too, that is the bring forth men children only in admiration, or is it
yeah,
in fear,
the
or
whole
Yeah,
is
that's
thing
it
like, you're a
almost,
Oh,
badass.
absolutely, admiration. I think so.
yeah, it feels like if I was to stage this, like it would be, they would be getting close to each other. They would be,
right,
like
right.
it would be, it's almost like they're turning each other on with this
Yeah.
now. Like,
Which is funny, because the end of the scene is false face must hide what the false heart doth know. So here's this consummation in their bodies, as you imagine it, of their agreement to be false.
Mm.
It's just dynamite theater.
The
it really
healthiest
is.
marriage in Shakespeare.
Yeah, he was on fire.
It's
Man.
funny. These are the very things that in the last week or so, as I've been looking at this, that I realized, your kind of your neutral starting point as an actor. I have a hard time getting over some of my own, morality and virtue as I'm looking at this and mining some of those things that are there in the text, that I just my need to be a good boy automatically wants to turn it. It wants to justify it a different way.
Do not ever let anyone tell you that art doesn't have power.
Right.
And it can be an extremely scary experience to perform these roles for people in their personal lives. It's a terrifying window on the abyss that's possible to human beings. And if you succeed in the performance, it means you have looked into that abyss. And you get what it means. And it can be terrifying if you don't have roots, if you don't have roots in your good boy morality and in the goodness of the creation of the world. It can be extremely terrible. And I remember when I started teaching, having to explain to people that Macbeth's last speeches about tomorrow and tomorrow in his despair were not Shakespeare's picture of the true nature of the world. They were the picture of a man who has lived his life as Macbeth has. But they are so compelling and powerful that when you are in despair, they seem to voice what you're feeling. So yes, be rooted.
I think what you just said really encapsulated for me what drew me to Shakespeare in the first place as a junior high student, and what led me to go to Lambda to study classical theater, because those are the questions beyond like the 3-page film and TV audition that somebody gets. Those are the things that I was just exploring, about myself as a young man, and I think that's what rooted me to all of this. And it's really just interesting to hear you put it that way.
That's absolutely wonderful. I just when I went to graduate school, I decided to study Shakespeare because I said he's going to wear me out before I wear him out. And I would not have said that about movie scripts or TV scripts that you've seen for the last 50 years. They're not interested in those deep questions. Whether they're capable of it is another question, but you're absolutely right. And it's why classical theater is still so powerful, because it's universal. I
Can you
didn't
read
mean to
just
end the conversation, but
Mhm.
I'm glad you were called in that way, because it's a true calling.
Well, I'm getting called again at 45, which is interesting. So
I don't think it ends, and I think it
No.
just continues to get more and more interesting. And the more that's the deeper you dive, the more there is. It's kind of an infinite abyss of exploration with these things. For instance, we haven't even got to the second scene yet,
yeah.
and we're almost done with our session. I always worry that we're not going to have enough to talk about with these things,
Ah,
and boy, am I wrong.
not when you got me along.
Can we go from bring forth men, children only to the end one more time? Just to hear that.
Bring forth men, children only, for thy undaunted metal should compose nothing but males. Will it not be received when we have marked with blood those sleepy two of his own chamber, and used their very daggers that they have done?
Who dares receive another, as we shall make our griefs and clamor roar upon his death.
I am settled, and bend up every corporal agent to this terrible feat. Away, and mock the time with fairest show. False face must hide what false heart doth know.
It's really interesting how she says, and she's almost grinning. I feel I like your choice there, Meaghan, as you said, and we shall make our griefs and clamor roar upon his death. Like we're gonna act,
Yeah.
like oh, it's
I particularly noticed that he says terrible feat. Like he knows what they're doing is terrible.
Mm.
It's
But
one of the
they say all this
interesting-
with this sort of this cheekiness. There's like a cheeky undertone going on here that's terrifying, really.
Well, it's an overlay of self-ignorance upon their self-knowledge. Like he knows it's terrible, but he's choosing freely to do it anyway, and that's okay with him. And the fact that he's decided that's okay with him is itself terrible. So Shakespeare is having him tell us that he's doing something terrible.
False face must hide what the false heart doth know.
Yep.
It's kind of a comment on acting as well from Shakespeare, isn't it?
Well, I would
Always.
say in Shakespeare, it's false face must hide what the true heart doth know.
Mm.
Oh yeah,
When
yeah.
you're doing Shakespeare, you're revealing truth if you're doing it right.
Well, should we I know, well, we should read the whole thing, and then I'm sure we're gonna end up just talking about it all over again. Let's go through and let's try to implement this, and let's play with that sense of urgency. It almost works in this pattern. It's like a Zoom call with these two. It's like they're planning this
Texting.
over like we could totally make it like this. I would love to see you guys do this, by the way. Okay, yeah,
Oh.
let's read it through all the way.
If it were done when 'tis done, then 'twere well it were done quickly. If the assassination could trammel up the consequence and catch with his surcease success, that but this blow might be the be-all and the end-all here. But here, upon this bank and shoal of time, we jump the life to come. But in these cases we still have judgment here, that we but teach bloody instructions, which being taught return to plague the inventor. This even-handed justice commends the ingredients of our poison chalice to our own lips. He's here in double trust. First, as I am his kinsman and his subject, strong both against the deed, then as his host, who should against his murderer shut the door, not bear the knife myself. Besides, this Duncan hath borne his faculties so meek, hath been so clear in his great office, that his virtues will plead like angels, trumpet-tongued against the deep damnation of his taking off. And pity, like a naked newborn babe striding the blast, or heaven's cherubim forced upon the sightless couriers of the air, shall blow the horrid deed in every eye, that tears shall drown the wind. I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, but only vaulting ambition, which o'erleaps itself and falls on the other. How now? What news?
He has almost supped. Why have you left the chamber?
Hath he asked for me?
Know you not he has?
We will proceed no further in this business. He hath honored me of late, and I have bought golden opinions of all sorts of people which would be worn now in their newest gloss, not cast aside so soon.
Was the hope drunk wherein you dressed yourself? Hath it slept since, and wakes it now to look so green and pale at what it did so freely? From this time such I account thy love. Art thou afeared to be the same in thine own act and valor as thou art in desire? Wouldst thou have that which thou esteemed the ornament of life, and live a coward in thine own esteem, letting I dare not wait upon I would, like the cat in the adage?
Prithee peace. I dare do all that may become a man. Who dares do more is none.
What beast was it then that made you break this enterprise to me? When you durst do it, then you were a man. And to be more than what you were, you would be so much more the man. Nor time nor place did then adhere, and yet you would make both. They have made themselves, and that their fitness now does unmake you. I have given suck, and know how tender 'tis to love the babe that milks me. I would, while it was smiling in my face, have plucked my nipple from his boneless gums and dashed the brains out, had I so sworn as you have done to this.
We should fail.
We fail. But screw your courage to the sticking place, and will not fail. When Duncan is asleep, whereto the rather shall his hard day's journey soundly invite him, his two chamberlains will I with wine and wassail so convince, that memory, the warder of the brain, shall be a fume, and the receipt of reason a limbeck only. When in swinish sleep their drenched natures lies as in a death, what cannot you and I perform upon the unguarded Duncan? What not put upon his spongy officers, who shall bear the guilt of our great well?
Bring forth men children only, for thy undaunted metal should compose nothing but males. Will they not be received when we have marked with blood those sleepy two of his own chamber, and used their very daggers that they have done?
Who dares receive it other? As we shall make our griefs and clamor roar upon his death.
I am settled, and bend up every corporal agent to this terrible feat. Away, and mock the time with fairest show. False face must hide what the false heart doth know.
Very good. Very, very good.
Excellent.
Yeah, you go first, Gideon.
Okay, I only had one correction, and that was line 33. Mark, you keep saying of all sorts of people, and it's from all sorts of people.
Yep. Yeah.
That's it. I think I had one more. Wait 1 second.
I got so wrapped up in what Meaghan was doing that I missed the shared line on "have done to this if we should fail."
Yeah, right. I noticed that, but that's okay. I think I'm still not getting enough of the contrast between surcease success, be all and end all here, and the contrast is, and this bank and shoal of time, we jump the life to come, and then in these cases we still have judgment, not just there but here, that we teach bloody instructions, etc. So I think there's a big transition before that but.
Okay.
In line 7, and I just didn't hear that, but everything else was really good.
Yeah, you guys, this is really, really getting fantastic already. We must take this on the road. We have no choice.
It's so scary to do it that quietly and close up in Zoom.
No, that's what I love. The intimacy of this is so awesome. Okay, I got a couple of notes. Mark, I'd love to see a little more urgency at the very top from you. Let's enhance the tennis match that's going on in his brain.
Okay.
You know, this back and forth. It seems it reads like it's almost driving him mad. You know, it reads like this is such a hard decision for him to make, and I feel like if you just beef up the energy in the first couple of lines and the speed, and technically it'll assist you with that.
I would just add antitheses to that.
Yes,
Keep
more
up
into
the energy and the antitheses, and that'll do the job.
Yeah. He's going back and forth, you know, but in these cases we still have judgment here. You know, it's this is happening, and then oh shoot, but this, and then oh shoot, you know, I need to see that wrestle between the antitheses, you know, a little bit stronger. If you could, when you go through this the next time, find each of those arguments, and you know, I would overplay it at first,
Okay.
you know, and then pare it down a little bit.
I just add to that he's a Thane, therefore he's been to school, and in Shakespeare's time that meant learning the trivium, which was grammar, logic, and rhetoric. So he knew how to argue. He knew what an argument was and a counter argument, and that's how Shakespeare's characters often try to work things out. They like to be or not to be, as you said before. He's trying to work out, here's the pro, here's the con, what's my conclusion?
It feels similar to the to be or not to be speech. In fact, go back, look at to be or not to be, and then read the two of these together, and you'll find the same wrestling match, or a similar wrestling match that's happening between them. Let's just go ahead and read through it one time, Mark, and we'll try to just knock it. We got a little time left. I think we're obviously going to just focus on this scene today, and then we'll do the next scene next week. Yeah, let's just go ahead and read through it, and then we'll find those arguments real fast.
Okay. If it were done when 'tis done, then 'twere well it were done quickly. If the assassination could trammel up the consequence and catch with his surcease success, that but this blow might be the be-all and the end-all here.
Okay, that's one.
But
And then
but here, upon this bank and shoal of time, we jump the life to come.
That's
another.
one. That's
Yeah.
one. That's the first arc. Now we have the contrast.
Okay. Oh, so
Yeah,
you got it.
is the but
Okay.
here more like emphasis than it is like another, like the but there is not functioning so much as like the way we use but? Or is it?
No,
But
it is.
here,
It
I
is.
think
But here, meaning
The first. Oh, you mean the
Or
but here,
for
or do
me,
you
it
mean
also
but in
feels
Yeah,
the-
like-
yeah. It's like
means-
the end all here, but here.
Yeah,
not
even
like
only-
somewhere else.
is the important word in there.
Yeah,
for
it
sure.
means even only here. It doesn't mean
Right.
however. It just means
Yeah.
even only here. He's reinforcing this bank and shoal of time here. The be all and the end all here, right?
And then I would
then
circle the
second
word.
but is the change.
I would circle the word judgment and teach.
Yeah. Instructions, teach bloody instructions that we've been taught, return to plague the inventor.
In other words, the
And
world works in the following way. You do something, what basically what he's saying, what goes around comes around, yes?
Yes. I as I'm reading it, I'm also feeling though like he's talking about the external world that his action will have a big consequence in, but also his own personal, his soul with but here
Yes.
on this bank and soul.
And what I'm asking you to play with is to really help the audience show us the difference between
those two.
those things. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And just a little bit more, you know what to do. Just technically find how to explain to us when he's which argument he's in at what time. You know what I mean? So it really, Shakespeare does a lot of the work with the full stops. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You really can just take a quick beat after those and, make an adjustment with the sound and pacing between each little section.
And
Okay.
I would say that the first sentence ending on quickly is the introduction, and the second sentence is the development of that idea, and the third sentence is the contrast, and the fourth sentence is the development of that.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, and you're doing a beautiful read with those. I think that maybe if you, like I say, if you just overdo it when you're rehearsing it one or two times, then it'll land right in the middle.
Yeah.
Where it'll help us. Sometimes we need a little bit extra explanation.
Give that highlighter on it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just color it a little bit more, and give us those upward inflections that lead to the build. You know what I mean? If you could concentrate on each of those sections topping the one before. Go ahead and start from the top and just read it through us.
Okay. If it were done when 'tis done, then 'twere well it were done quickly. If the assassination could trammel up the consequence and catch with his surcease success, that but this blow might be the be-all and the end-all here. But here, nope, I'm not feeling. I'm gonna need to work these a little bit.
Absolutely, it's hard to change the rhythm. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get in a rhythm and then you have to change it up, and I understand. But right there, that was already really clear.
It was much.
It felt like it felt a little vaudeville, but okay.
No, because it feels like too much at first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it'll become natural as you play with it. Can you go from but here upon this bank of shoal of time for me, Mark?
Yep. But here upon this bank and shoal of time we jump the life to come. But in these cases we still have judgment here, that we but teach bloody instructions, which being taught return to plague the inventor. This even-handed justice. What's up?
No, I said that's perfect.
Great. Okay.
It was very clear right there.
Oh, good. This even-handed justice commends the ingredients of our poison chalice to our own lips. He's here in double trust. First, as I am his kinsman and his subject, strong both against the deed, then as his host, who should against his murderer shut the door, not bear the knife myself.
That's great. You could stop right there. Fantastic. That's exactly what I was looking for, man. It's so clear. It's that, I get a real sense of that tennis match that's going on in his head, that back and forth. Yeah, awesome. You got it. Oh, Meaghan, what's a limbrick?
A dream.
A dream.
A limbic, right?
No.
Oh, what is it?
It's from alchemy. Let me read you this note.
Oh, that's okay. That's
it's complicated. The old anatomists divided the brain into 3 ventricles, in the hindmost of which, namely the cerebellum, they placed the memory. Memory, the warder of the cerebellum, warns the reason against attack. And where converted by intoxication into a fume or a smoke, it fills the brain, the receptacle of reason, which thus becomes like an alembic or limbec or a cap of a still, the top of a still. So what's happening is the fumes from the drink are invading the brain and preventing the reason from using memory to engage in correct judgment. In other words, they're going to be befuddled and knocked out, and they won't be able to reason.
Can we did any Elizabethan know what that meant in the audience?
Yes, but not all of them did.
Yeah. Meaghan, can we find that line for me?
Yeah, I got it.
Do you know what line number that is? Anybody?
I have 75, but I just wrote in from the folder, but it's around there. It's like her second to last speech. After will I with Wassel, wine and Wassel so convinced. Before the unguarded Duncan.
It's my line 67.
I see it. Okay.
68.
Yeah, can you read that little section for me? Just because I was so confused on what is going on right there because I didn't know what that word meant.
Right.
His two chamberlains will I with wine and wassail so convince that memory, the warder of the brain, shall be a fume, and the receipt of reason a limbeck only.
So the thing that receives, the things that receive reason will be nothing but filled with this fume. Memory itself will dissolve into a fume, and therefore reason will not be able to reason.
Oh, thank you. That's so much clearer. I see.
It is,
I mean,
yeah.
it was in a delivery. I just didn't know what the lines meant. So,
No, I had misremembered it from many years ago, so that was very helpful.
Yeah, and there's not one person in the audience except
Right.
professional dramaturges and professors of Shakespeare.
Thanks, Will.
But if you mean what it means,
Right.
we'll get the
That's
point.
right. That's right. If you would
So
have
is that a
taken
pretty
used to
common-
always say, if you know 100% of what you're saying, they'll get 85.
Yeah.
Which is plenty.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing that I was really noticing and enjoying, and I would like you guys to play it more, is there's this thing where he tends to makes commands of her a few times in this, and they seem quite strong. And she, every time he does, she comes in with a brilliant tactic to refute it, and it's a little bit of a sword fight. And she has this wicked parry that I would like you guys to continue to explore, because you're already doing it, and it's really, he says, well, we're going to do this, and she's like, oh, but she tends to manipulate. I don't know if manipulate's the right word even.
Persuade.
She helps him find his way. And I mean, how would you word that, Meaghan? Not manipulate, but
No, I think it is a kind of manipulation, but it's it's like a reminder of what he ultimately really wants. Like, she's always bringing him back to his original intention when he broke that enterprise to me. Like, you brought this to me and we've decided this thing, so we've got to keep pulling you back. Like,
yeah, and pulling him back from any possible choice to be virtuous and not do it.
right.
Amazing. Okay, we got 5 minutes left. Let's do it one more time and try to implement as many of these notes as we can. And then we'll continue to work on it after that.
If it were done when 'tis done, then 'twere well it were done quickly. If the assassination could trammel up the consequence and catch with his surcease success, that but this blow might be the be-all and the end-all here. But here, upon this bank and shoal of time, we jump the life to come. But in these cases we still have judgment here, that we but teach bloody instructions, which being taught, return to plague the inventor. This even-handed justice commends the ingredients of our poison chalice to our own lips. He's here in double trust, first as I am his kinsman and his subject, strong both against the deed, then as his host, who should against his murderer shut the door, not bear the knife myself. Besides, this Duncan hath borne his faculties so meek, hath been so clear in his great office, that his virtues will plead, like angels, trumpet-tongued, against the deep damnation of his taking off. And pity, like a naked newborn babe striding the blast, or heaven's cherubim, horsed upon the sightless couriers of the air, shall blow the horrid deed in every eye, that tears shall drown the wind. I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, but only vaulting ambition, which o'erleaps itself and falls on the other. How now, what news?
He has almost supped. Why have you left the chamber?
Hath he asked for me?
Know you not he has?
We will proceed no further in this business. He hath honored me of late, and I have bought golden opinions from all sorts of people, which would be worn now in their newest gloss, not cast aside so soon.
Was the hope drunk wherein you dressed yourself? Hath it slept since? And wakes it now to look so green and pale on what it did so freely? From this time such I account thy love. Art thou afeard to be the same in thine own act and valor as thou art in desire? Wouldst thou have that which thou esteemst the ornament of life, and live a coward in thine own esteem, letting I dare not wait upon I would, like the poor cat in the adage?
Prithee, peace. I dare do all that may become a man. Who dares do more is none.
What beast wast then that made you break this enterprise to me? When you durst do it, then you were a man. And to be more than what you were, you would be so much more the man. Nor time nor place did then adhere, and yet you would make both. That they have made themselves, and that their fitness now does unmake you. I have given suck, and know what 'tis to love, how tender 'tis to love the babe that milks me. I would, while it was smiling in my face, have plucked my nipple from his boneless gums and dashed the brains out, had I so sworn as you have done to this.
If we should fail.
We fail. But screw your courage to the sticking place, and will not fail. When Duncan is asleep, whereto the rather shall his hard day's journey soundly invite him, his two chamberlains will I with wine and wassail so convince, that memory, the warder of the brain, shall be a fume, and the receipt of reason a limbic only. When in swinish sleep their drenched natures lie as in a death, what cannot you and I perform upon the unguarded Duncan? What not put upon his spongy officers, who shall bear the guilt of our great quell?
Bring forth men children only, for thy undaunted metal should compose nothing but males. Will it not be received when we have marked with blood those sleepy two of his own chamber, and used their very daggers that they have done?
Who dares receive another? As we shall make our griefs and clamor roar upon his death.
I am settled, and bend up each corporal agent to this terrible feat. Away, and mock the time with fairest show. False face must hide what the false heart doth know.
Really excellent.
Wow. Wow. You guys, that was really, really beautiful.
Thank you.
I got every little detail and you took every note. How do you guys do that? Nathan, they took every note.
It's the quality of everybody in the room, Nick. It just it takes care of itself. That's why I can just go take a nap in the back of the theater, and I don't have to worry about anybody on stage. It all works. It's magic. No, this was great. It was wonderful. I was listening to just about all of it, and yeah, just really enjoyed the specificity, and I think there are in this play particularly lines that maybe we've heard a lot in watching YouTube clips or movies or stage plays, like, but just to have the time to really go, what are they saying and what are the metaphors they're using, what's the imagery here. It's just really, really fun to really unpack all of that. So thank you guys for spending so much time doing that. It's really, like Nick said, we're getting even more from the scene already. So, wonderful.
And next week we have a whole new scene to explore.
There you go.
That was
good.
awesome. Thank you for that.
Great. Well, good.
So much
I'm glad
fun.
everybody had a great time. Yeah, excellent. Well, we'll see everybody here next week. And for those watching on YouTube, subscribe, click those notification bells so you don't miss anything. You can support the project on Patreon, as I mentioned at the top. But yeah, come on back for week 2 of Macbeth as we keep exploring these characters and these scenes. So thank you guys all so much. Have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you back here in the rehearsal room.
Thank you so much. So nice to meet you guys.
And you.
Bravo, everybody. Bravo.
Good
All
work.
right.
Thanks.
Good night. Good night.